all the haters last night, their storyline was that you were moving around a lot. Just
Boxing?
I know, I just don't get it.
I'm a little disappointed, but I also know how good he is.
How can he take it easy? The whole world is watching. There's not a chance he's going to make it look like this guy can box with him.
Can you imagine if Jake?
It was a significant difference. And ultimately, he did what he had to do to survive. He tried to sneak in some big shots, but in the end, the better boxer was going to systematically break him down, and that's what he did, and he got the victory. So I left that show on Friday thinking, this feels like a win for everyone involved.
Joe Rogan was left speechless after hearing that Jake Paul is reportedly suing Anthony Joshua over his knockout loss. Rumors claim Jake alleges AJ didn't follow instructions in the ring. Rogan reacted, saying there was no way Joshua could have taken it easy. As a world champion, AJ's job is to fight seriously, and letting Paul outbox him was never realistic, making the lawsuit seem absurd.
He's like very underrated, but he's a 2-time heavyweight world champion. He's like one of the fucking scariest guys in the division. Lightning fast punches. 245 fucking pounds. He's huge. He's way bigger. Way more skilled.
He's like a foot taller. What's the height?
Rumors suggest Jake Paul is considering legal action against Anthony Joshua after his knockout defeat, claiming the fight didn't go according to plan. Speculation points to frustrations over the noticeable size and strength gap between the fighters, which many believe made the contest heavily one-sided. Sources close to the situation hint that Paul expected a different dynamic in the ring. Joshua's natural power and skill proved overwhelming. The boxing community is buzzing over the idea, with many questioning whether such a lawsuit could hold any weight given the circumstances and a clear mismatch in physical attributes.
Jake Paul's filing a lawsuit and will be taking legal actions days after getting knocked out by Anthony Joshua. So Jake Paul, who suffered a broken jaw after fighting AJ, has had enough of people questioning his legitimacy. JP's manager, Nakisa Bidarian, who's also the MVP co-founder, revealed that they're cracking down and will be suing a number of people for false claims, aka defamation. Folks, claims of Paul and Joshua having an agreement that Anthony Joshua disregarded that eventually led to Jake Paul getting knocked out have been circulating online, henceforth the reason for suing these people who keep on saying that JP's fights are rigged, scripted, or fake. As for Jake Paul himself, well, he recently spoke to his brother Logan and confirmed that 4 titanium plates are in place due to his injuries, with their mother also confirming that 8...
Ariel Helwani offers a calm and insightful perspective on the recent fight, stressing that there is little cause for concern or disappointment. Despite the intense media attention and fan speculation, the bout proceeded smoothly with no serious issues arising during the contest. Helwani points out that the fight was conducted safely and neither fighter sustained any major injuries, which is always a key measure of success in high-stakes boxing events. He emphasizes that the match unfolded as anticipated, with both competitors displaying careful risk management and professionalism throughout. The fighter preparation and focus were evident, allowing them to perform at a high level while maintaining safety. Helwani's analysis highlights that beyond the excitement and drama, the event was executed responsibly, ensuring that both athletes could compete effectively and exit the ring without harm, reinforcing the importance of planning and discipline in professional boxing.
Is on the biggest platform in the world, Netflix, ignoring the fact that Jake took on the biggest challenge he could possibly take on short notice. After Tank falls through, he goes and he's like, where's Francis? Okay, I'll go for the guy who beat Francis. I'll go for AJ. Ignoring the fact that, I think some people's stock were elevated on the undercard. Some of the fights on the undercard were really, really great. And ultimately, there isn't that much to be upset about. There isn't that much to be mad about. Netflix being involved in boxing is great. Jake stepping up and taking Anthony's best shots were great. I don't think Anthony looked bad at all. There were times where I felt like he was headhunting. There were times where I felt like he was trying to knock him out because I think he wanted to get rid of him. But you have to understand, when you have a guy who's running as much as he did and take shots at him or not for the game plan, that was his best way of surviving. It's like trying to chase a wet duck. You have to get him. And I think Anthony did actually a good job of pinning him into the corner sometimes, cutting off the ring, but it's hard to get a guy who's moving so much, who's clinching you, who's trying to do the antics that he was doing. That was the best chance for Jake to survive and then hope that he could crack him. He got tired, the ring was big, it was 22 by 22 as opposed to 20 by 20. There was a significant difference. And ultimately, he did what he had to do to survive. He tried to sneak in some big shots, but in the end, the better boxer was going to systematically break him down, and that's what he did, and he got the victory. So I left that show on Friday thinking, This feels like a win for everyone involved. This feels like a win for Netflix, a win for MVP, a win for Eddie and AJ and Matchroom. That's their guy. A win for Jake, and then a win for all the other fighters. I actually thought in a way it was the best of all the Netflix cards so far as the 3 MVP cards. People were a little disappointed with Taylor Serrano and the main event and the lack of action. People had their say about, Jake and Tyson and the streaming issues and whatnot. This was one that I felt like it was like, if you are looking at it, with a clear mind, clear conscience, no bias, check. That was my view. Now let me ask the team, what did you guys think? Rick, I'll start with you. I've not asked a single one of you what you thought. Rick and GC were in attendance. You guys were watching it. Didn't see you guys, by the way. I saw my mom and sister. I was looking for you guys. Couldn't see you. Was hoping for a wave. Was hoping for a little, how are you? Didn't see you guys. What did you think?
I think everybody did their part. I think you kind of touched on the fact that it seemed like everybody involved won. I don't know if I say that. I think you could kind of debate individuals, but I think everybody did their part. And for that, I mean, for the longest time we've been hearing, and the outcry has been, Jake Paul doesn't take real fights. We have to see Jake Paul in a real fight. That's the only thing that I care about. He doesn't take real fights. He only fights old people. He only fights this. He only fights that. He delivered. He put his nuts on the table and he said, I'm going to take a real fight. Not only am I going to take a real fight, I'm going to fight a former heavyweight champion with knockout power who just dispatched of Francis Ngannou 2 fights ago in a way that was quite devastating. I'm going to go in against that guy. So to me, Jake Paul held up his side of the equation. I kind of view these I didn't have high expectations in terms of the boxing product. I think of this like the way that some people used to say, like, I read Playboy for the articles. I don't watch Jake Paul fights for boxing. I watch Jake Paul fights for spectacle. Like, if you came in thinking that this was going to be a display of the greatest boxing you've ever seen, you're just misinformed. Like, I don't know what you could possibly...
Beyond the fight itself, financial aspects also come into focus. Reports indicate that Anthony Joshua has already lost a significant portion of his earnings due to taxes, leaving him with roughly $43 million for himself and his team. This detail underscores the high stakes and realities of professional boxing, where even elite fighters face substantial deductions from their purses, reminding fans that the monetary side of the sport is as complex as the physical contest inside the ring.
Joshua lost half of his earnings for the fight with Jake Paul because he's a UK resident and the fight was in USA. He won the fight with Jake Paul, but USA and UK won him. For that fight, he's supposed to get $93 million. 37% of it went to taxes in USA, almost $35 million. Also around $15 million a tax to UK because the fight was not in the country. And if the fight was in UK, he would pay 3 times more tax. So from $93 million, he end up earning only $43 million. This is weird, guys. If the fight was in Dubai, he would get all $93 million. Here, the government supports you to make money, not to lose money. Anthony Joshua and all the other sports guys, contact me and I will help you to move.
Eddie Hearn provides a clear look into how the fight unfolded, emphasizing that it was conducted honestly and without unnecessary theatrics. He explains that Jake Paul fully understood his own limitations and recognized that winning in the traditional sense against a world-class opponent like Anthony Joshua was unrealistic. With this in mind, Paul adopted a cautious strategy aimed at reducing damage while staying active in the ring. He relied heavily on movement and evasive tactics to make it harder for Joshua to land decisive shots. Hearn highlights that this approach was not about dominating the fight, but about surviving and managing risk intelligently. His analysis underscores that both fighters entered the match with well-defined objectives and awareness, balancing competitiveness with safety. The bout, therefore, became a controlled contest where strategy, caution, and professionalism shaped the outcome rather than reckless aggression.
Going to say, well, Jake was running and Jake was holding, but listen, I mean, at the end of the day, Jake had one job, and that was to try and survive. I mean, he was never ever going to win the fight, ever. And if you would have said to me, do I think he'll go 6 rounds? I would have said absolutely not. I mean, I felt that it would take AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him, because I knew Jake can move a bit and he'd be moving off the back foot and he'd be holding. But it was the way that he did it, I think, was actually quite impressive. Like, not that particular part, but the way that he would, the way that he was strong in the clinch. He wouldn't let AJ get his shots off in the clinch. He made him miss a few times. And obviously AJ's been out of the ring for a while. But to be honest, I think the most fascinating thing of the whole night in terms of the fight was how he didn't get flatlined by that right hand. I mean, I said going into the fight, he's probably going to take AJ a few rounds to get hold of him. And I also said, as soon as he lands clean, the fight's over, right? He landed a few before, but the first that he landed really clean was the final shot. But, you know, he never flatlined Jake. I mean, he did break his jaw in 2 places, which is a disaster. But there are a lot of heavyweights that would have been out cold from that right hand. I mean, one of them was Francis Ngannou. You know, a pretty similar shot, really. Do you know what I mean? So I actually give Jake unbelievable credit for doing it in the first place, but his performance as well. I mean, I stand by the fact that I think he's just a decent cruiserweight, but like he did go in with Anthony Joshua, and look, the world is full of criticism and opinions and negativity. Who else is doing what he's doing at what is he, late 20s? I mean, quite phenomenal. I mean, the guy's a complete madman. I'm watching him come out to that ring walk, and he's just a...
Simon Jordan provides a sharp and detailed critique of Anthony Joshua's performance, highlighting the high expectations placed on a world champion of his caliber. He points out that Joshua entered the fight with the skill, power, and experience to control the bout from the opening bell and ideally secure an early knockout. However, Jordan notes that Joshua was unable to capitalize on these opportunities, failing to finish the fight in the early rounds. This, he argues, is a notable shortcoming, as decisive moments like early knockouts are often viewed as a measure of a champion's dominance and precision. While Joshua's overall talent and accomplishments are beyond question, his inability to deliver a conclusive result when the opportunity presented itself raises legitimate questions about his timing, decision-making, and execution under pressure. Jordan stresses that even the most accomplished fighters are subject to scrutiny, and fans, commentators, and analysts closely examine these moments. The critique reinforces the idea that in boxing, missed opportunities, especially by elite fighters, can shape public perception and provoke meaningful discussion about performance standards at the highest level.
Engaging and clinging to AJ's legs. At one point, the referee had warned the pair of them. The fans didn't pay to watch this crap. Joshua finally imposed himself by knocking down Paul twice in the 5th round, delivered the knockout blow, boom, in the 6th, and broke his jaw reportedly in 2 places. After the fight, Gareth A. Davis caught up with Joshua.
People will criticise you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Why? Come on.
Because, like, we're elite fighters. Like, so I put myself in the shoes of a coach. If I was coaching Anthony Joshua and he went 6 rounds with Jake Paul, I would get him back in the gym tomorrow, give him a bit of a beating, and we're getting straight back to work, because I'll be like, how are you letting this kid take you 6 rounds? Are you crazy? But I can't go back in time.
Well, they've come out of it a whole lot richer. Reportedly £165 million richer between the two of them, with Jake Paul earning more than Joshua. That apart, Spencer, 6 rounds to get Paul out of there. Reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed 1 clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
But, I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round 1.
I did.
Otherwise, what are we seeing?
Exactly that. And I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment. And that was pretty much it, but not entertainment that many people enjoyed, if I'm honest. I think that people wanted to see a demolition job.
Analysts have weighed in on the controversy surrounding the fight, addressing rumors that it might have been rigged or scripted in Jake Paul's favor. While many of Jake's previous bouts have sparked speculation about being carefully orchestrated, experts stress that this particular fight was different. Anthony Joshua, as a seasoned world champion, carried enormous pressure into the ring, both from expectations and his own standards. The intensity and seriousness with which he approached the match made it highly unlikely that the outcome could be manipulated. Analysts argue that the idea of a scripted fight falls apart, and considering Joshua's professionalism, focus, and commitment to performing at his best rather than a staged performance. What unfolded was a genuine contest of skill and power, highlighting the natural gap between the fighters and exposing the limits of Jake's current abilities.
I do not think that this fight was rigged. I think what happened was that, number one, Anthony Joshua had a lot to lose. If he got reckless and he got caught and KO'd in the early rounds, that would have been the most embarrassing upset in all of boxing history. Now, it's easy to sit on a couch and watch him and say, well, he still should have done it. But no, you're going to be more defensive, you're going to get a read, and you're going to try and understand how the guy's moving. Now, this is where I could see why it was difficult in the early rounds for Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul did not fight like a boxer. Jake Paul did stuff that, in my opinion, should have gotten him to lose a point or some kind of warning. He was doing double leg takedowns the entire fight. He wasn't throwing punches, he was running and circling, and then the second Anthony Joshua got close to him, he would shoot in on him with a double leg. Okay, now, sure, that works for an MMA fight. It was a nice example of how you can get by a boxer's punches numerous times. It also exhausted him. He must have shot in at least, no joke, 30 or 35 times in that fight, which is just absurd. And again, I think that's what threw off the pacing of the fight and made Anthony Joshua look a little bit awkward in the early rounds because he was keeping distance. He didn't want to get caught with that overhand right. And then as he stepped in, every time he closed the gap, Jake Paul would just shoot in and get into tight range, like clinch range. And very good strategy for self-defense, by the way. From a self-defense perspective, what we can learn from Jake Paul is even if you're fighting a guy who's massive compared to you, who is a world-class boxer and mega athlete, that it's very hard to KO you if you just keep shooting in on them when you're getting into range. If you just, the second you're in punching range, you shoot in. It's a strategy that's worked in MMA. Now we see it worked against a great